The broken sky asterisk, the sky above the village of Jurak had stopped shining. Their sun, once bright and warm, now flickered like a weak flame ready to die. The plants had withered. The water in their wells tasted sour and strange. The air felt thin, dry, and cold. Elder Juro stood at the edge of the village, staring at the pale light above. His skin, once golden green, had turned dull with age and worry. Around him, the villagers worked in silence, no laughter, no songs, only tired footsteps and quiet fear. "We cannot survive much longer," said one of the hunters. "The animals are gone. The ground is empty. Our time is ending." Juro did not answer. He had heard this many times now. Everyone was giving up. Then the sky screamed. A silver streak fell from above, fast, loud, and burning. It cut through the clouds and crashed far outside the village, shaking the ground. A few children screamed. Dust rose like a wave. Birds flew in all directions. What was that? A mother shouted. Juro raised a hand. "Stay calm. Gather the watchers. We go now." The wreckage lay half buried in cracked dirt and ash. A small ship, strange and battered, was tilted on its side. Smoke rose from its engine. The back was open. They surrounded it carefully, weapons in hand, breath held. And then he walked out. A small figure, thin arms, human clothes, burned and torn. A boy. He looked no older than 13. He coughed, holding one side. There was a cut above his eyebrow. His hair was dark and messy. His face looked tired but not afraid. The villagers froze. A human? Someone whispered, "Impossible." Juro stepped forward, staff in hand. "Child, who are you?" The boy looked up slowly. His voice was dry. "My name is Milo. I think I crashed here." No one moved. Then, without warning, Milo collapsed. Milo woke up inside a round hut. It was warm. Soft moss covered the floor. A bowl of strange soup sat beside him. A few kids peeked through the doorway, wide-eyed and silent. He sat up slowly. His body ached. His left arm was wrapped with bandages. He saw a pile of broken metal parts in a corner, old tools. Scrap, junk. Milo's eyes lit up. He crawled over and picked up a bent wire, a small gear, and something that looked like a twisted circuit board. His fingers moved quickly, without thinking. He twisted, connected, turned. A small light blinked on. Behind him, one of the alien children gasped, "Elder." Juro entered an hour later. The boy had made 3 tiny machines out of junk. One buzzed like a bug. Another spun its legs in a circle. The third made a soft hum and glowed faint blue. "You made these?" Juro asked. Milo nodded. "Just something simple. Helps me think. Where are your people?" "I was on a supply run, got lost, storm hit. I think I blacked out." "You are far from home, child." "I know." Milo looked down. "Sorry." Juro didn't speak for a moment. Then he said, "You may stay one night. After that, we decide." Milo only nodded. But that night, when the rest of the village slept, the elder saw Milo sneaking out, carrying a sack of old garbage and machine parts. By morning, something strange had happened. The old power unit behind the healer's hut was humming. Faint lights glowed along the wall. A soft wind passed through the broken fans. And for the first time in many moons, warm air blew inside. Everyone gathered around. Milo stood beside it, wiping his greasy hands on his shirt. "I just reconnected some wires," he said. "It wasn't hard. The base unit still worked. You guys just needed a few parts swapped." The villagers stared. One of the young aliens, a girl with soft silver eyes, stepped closer. "You did this with garbage?" Milo smiled. "Trash can be useful. You just have to listen to it." Elder Juro looked at the repaired machine, then at the human boy, and deep inside, something began to change. Maybe the sky wasn't the only thing that could break. Maybe hope could return to. And maybe, just maybe, it had come falling from the sky in the form of a small human boy who talked to trash. He talks to junk. By the second morning, the alien villagers were no longer afraid of the boy. They followed him quietly as he walked around with a broken metal bucket, digging through old piles of junk near the edge of the village. It wasn't clean work. The scrap was sharp, dirty, and covered in dust from years of storms. But Milo didn't care. He held each piece of metal like it was treasure. He turned it in his hands, touched it, shook it. If it made a sound or clicked in just the right way, he smiled. It was strange. He didn't act like a lost child. He acted like someone with a purpose. A group of alien children watched from behind a dead tree. "What is he doing?" one whispered. "He talks to trash," another said, laughing. "He thinks junk can talk back." But Milo didn't hear them. He was focused on something else now, a broken drone. Its wings were gone, and half of its body was smashed. Most would have thrown it away. But Milo saw something different. He pulled a few tools from his belt, clicked a small light to his forehead, and began to work. Later that day, the drone flew. Not for long, just a few seconds. But it hovered, turned once, and dropped slowly to the ground without breaking. The children gasped. The silver-eyed girl from before stepped closer. Her name was Tava. She picked up the drone and turned it over in her hands. "How did you fix this?" she asked softly. "I didn't fix it," Milo said. "I helped it remember what it was." Tava looked confused. "It's a machine." "Yeah," Milo said with a grin. "But even machines want to fly again." By the third day, Milo had already built 2 spinning fans, a night lamp powered by heat stones, and a tiny bug that walked in circles. Every night, more villagers came to watch him work. He didn't speak much. He just sat in a quiet corner near the old forge, sorting metal, fusing wires, and drawing lines in the dirt with chalk and coal. But not everyone liked him. Vor, the son of the elder's brother, stood at the back of the crowd with his arms crossed. "He's just a boy," Vor said. "And he's only human." "He's helping," someone whispered. "He's making you weak," Vor snapped. "Relying on outsiders is what destroyed the eastern tribes." Tava turned to face him. "You talk big, Vor, but you've never fixed anything." Vor's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing more for now. The next morning, Milo asked to see the well. It was deep and wide, but the water at the bottom was nearly gone. What remained smelled bad and looked dark, a dying well for a dying village. Milo pulled out a long piece of copper tubing and a few filters from his bag. He didn't say much, just worked. His hands moved fast. A few villagers brought him more parts. A woman gave him clean cloth for the filter. A young boy brought him glue sap. By nightfall, the first glass of clean water rose from the well. Clear, cold, safe. The elder held the cup in both hands and stared at it as if it were made of gold. He took one sip and nearly cried. Then he passed it to the next villager. And the next. Vor could not sleep that night. He sat alone near the power hut, staring at the old tools his father had once used. They were rusted now, forgotten. He picked one up and threw it into the dirt. "He's just a kid," Vor growled. He shouldn't be able to do this. But even he couldn't deny what he saw. The wind blew stronger near the fan towers. The rooms were warmer. Children were laughing again. Clean water flowed from the well, all because of that human. Back in the workshop tent, Milo was making something new. Tava watched him from the doorway. "You're always so calm," she said. "Even though you're alone." Milo nodded, eyes focused on the tiny pieces in front of him. "I get scared sometimes, but building helps." "Helps how?" "It reminds me that things can be broken and still be useful." She sat beside him. "Do you really hear the machines talk?" He smiled. "Not with ears. Just when I touch them, I kind of know what they need." "You're weird," she said softly. "Yeah." He laughed. "I get that a lot." By the end of the week, Milo had become part of the village, not by force. Not by asking, just by fixing things. He helped rebuild a broken lamp tower near the school hut. He repaired a music shell that hadn't sung in years. He even carved new legs for a 3-legged stool using parts from a broken wheel. People started calling him the Junk Whisperer, and Milo didn't mind. Because for the first time since crashing here, he didn't feel alone. The first spark. A soft light glowed in the village square that night. It wasn't fire. It wasn't magic. It was something new. A small cube sat on a flat stone, glowing softly with green-blue light. A gentle hum came from it, steady and warm. Beside it stood Milo, his hands black with dust and grease. round him. The villagers stood in silence. Then, a single drop of clean water fell into a bowl from a pipe above the cube. Another drop followed. Then a stream, clear water, dozens of. Eyes widened. It's working, Tava whispered. Elder Juro stepped forward and touched the water. He brought it to his lips, drank, and closed his eyes. It's pure, he said quietly, truly pure. A cheer rose up, small at first, then louder. Some clapped, some cried. And for the first time in many seasons, the people of Jurek smiled with hope. Milo didn't cheer. He just sat down slowly and wiped his hands on his shirt. That took forever. He mumbled. The next morning, Milo was already up before the suns flickered through the clouds. He stood at the edge of the village, looking out at the horizon with narrowed eyes. The land was dry, flat, and filled with dead things, old bones, burned machines, broken parts. Tava found him standing there with a strange look on his face. What are you thinking about? She asked. Milo pointed to the far side of the hills. You said there's an old pit out there, right? Full of junk from a crashed warship. Tava hesitated. The forbidden pit. It's dangerous. Rusted metal, broken weapons, old tech that leaks sickness. Nobody goes there anymore. I want to go, Milo said. She blinked. Are you crazy? Maybe, he smiled. But that pit might have what I need next. For what? He turned to her. His voice was quiet. To bring light back, real light, energy that lasts, not just drops of it. Enough to make this village strong again. Tava stared at him. You're just a kid. Exactly. He said, if I can do this, then anyone can. Permission wasn't easy to get. The elder was against it at first. That place has killed grown warriors, Juro warned. It's poison, not treasure. But treasure can be poison, Milo said. Until you understand it. After hours of discussion, Juro finally gave in. One day, no more, and you take others with you. No wandering alone. Milo nodded. Fair deal. The forbidden pit was worse than he imagined. It was a wide, deep crater filled with old tech, twisted steel, cracked armor, melted engines, and piles of forgotten weapons. Most of it looked dead. Some of it still hissed and clicked as if it were dreaming of war. The air was thick with heat and chemical smells. Milo wore a scarf over his face and goggles to shield his eyes. Tava and 2 other teens came with him, each carrying bags and makeshift tools. Anything glowing, leave it, Milo warned. Anything humming, don't touch it. Just find metal panels, copper wire, battery shells, and anything with gears or coils. They split up and got to work. For hours, they dug, scraped, and dragged parts out of the wrecks. Milo found an old solar dish, cracked but usable. Tava found a large coil half buried under the bones of an alien mech suit. By midday, their bags were full and their arms were sore. As they walked back, Tava looked at him and asked, do humans do this all the time? Build from trash, he said. Only the smart ones. She smiled, back at the village. Milo cleared an old workshop space and began his biggest project yet, a wine-powered energy unit. He drew on the walls with chalk strange shapes, towers, fans, boxes, and cables. Villagers passed by every hour to watch the drawing grow. No one understood all of it, but it gave them hope. Milo worked day and night. He barely slept. When his fingers hurt, he switched hands. When his back ached, he lay on the floor and kept planning with his eyes closed. Children brought him bolts, elders brought old tools. One family gave him a whole broken cart to tear apart. By the 6th night, the tower stood tall, silver, ugly, and beautiful. A curved blade spun gently in the breeze. Milo connected the final cable, took a deep breath, and flipped the switch. Nothing happened. Then a soft hum. Lights flickered in the village square. A heater buzzed near the healer's hut. The cube glowed brighter. The windmill turned faster. And the village came to life. People stepped outside and stared in silence as light returned to their world, not from magic, not from old gods, but from wind, trash, and a boy who never gave up. Elder Juro placed a hand on Milo's shoulder. You brought us power from garbage. Milo smiled, tired and proud. Sometimes, he said, broken things are just waiting to shine again. The power of trash asterisk. The windmill didn't stop turning. Day and night. The curved blades spun above the village of Jurak. The soft hum of power flowed through wires. Into homes and heaters, lamps glowed. Water pumps ran without shaking. Even old cooking tools, long forgotten, sparked back to life. It wasn't loud. It wasn't fast. But it worked. The villagers had no word for it. They just called it the spark. Milo, the human boy who had crashed from the sky, had become more than a guest. He had become a builder, a spark bringer, a quiet hero who made magic from junk. But not everyone was happy. Vor stood near the edge of the village, watching the windmill spin with cold eyes. He's just a child, he said to himself, a human child, and they're already calling him savior. He clenched his fists. He wasn't jealous. He told himself that over and over. But deep inside, he hated the way people smiled at Milo, how even the elders spoke gently to him, how Tava always followed him, eyes wide and bright. No one should have that much power. Vor whispered. And he made a choice. Milo didn't sleep much anymore. He was building again. This time, he wanted to make the power go further, not just lights and water. He wanted to build heat towers and maybe even simple farming tools machines that could help the dying soil. In the village square, he opened up a large panel from the war junk pile. It was heavy and broken, but it had something rare inside. An old energy cell, cracked, but not empty. Tava sat nearby, handing him tools as he worked. You never stop, she said. Milo didn't look up. I can't. If I stop, this place might fade again. It won't, she replied. Not with you here. He smiled, just a little. Then his hands froze. A small blinking light was flashing on the energy cell. Red and fast. His heart jumped. This is unstable, he muttered. Someone tampered with it. He looked closer. The seal had been scratched. A thin wire had been twisted where it didn't belong. Tava leaned in. What is it? It's a trap, he said. If I'd powered this up, it could have exploded. That night, Milo stayed awake. He tested every part in his pile. 5 more had been tampered with. Not broken by accident. Broken on purpose. He didn't tell the villagers. Not yet. He only told Juro. The elders sat in silence, eyes closed. Do you know who did this? He asked. Milo shook his head. Not yet. Juro looked tired. Then be careful. We live in the light now, but shadows still hide nearby. The next day, Milo asked for help. He gathered a team of young villagers and showed them how to test wires, fix broken tools, and clean old panels. He called it junk class. Tava joked and gave it a better name, the Fixers Club. Kids loved it. They brought scrap from every corner. Milo showed them how to make wind toys, light bottles, and even a radio that caught signals from deep space. It crackled and whined, but one day, it might hear something real. Even old warriors joined in. One brought a bent shovel and asked Milo to make it strong again. I used this to dig my father's grave, he said. If you can save it, I'd be honored. Milo fixed it in 2 hours, and the warrior wept. But Vor was watching. He saw the laughter, the joy, the way the people followed Milo like he was their true leader, and he broke. That night, he sneaked into the workshop. He wore gloves. He moved like a shadow. He found the main wire that powered the windmill's base, and he cut it. Then, using a stolen heat cell from the forbidden pit, he slipped it into the control box. It was set to detonate when the tower turned fast, just like it always did at sunrise. He left without a sound. Milo woke early. As always, he walked toward the windmill, humming softly, ready to test his new wiring plans. He passed the control box. Something made him pause, a feeling, a whisper inside. He opened the panel and froze. The heat cell inside wasn't his. It was active. Seconds left. He didn't scream. He didn't run. He grabbed a thick steel tray from the side, ripped out the box, and threw it into the dirt behind him. The explosion hit the ground with a deep thud, loud, hot, and fast. Dust flew. Smoke covered the path. Villagers came running. Milo sat on the ground coughing. His hands were burned, his shirt torn. Tava grabbed him. Are you okay? He nodded slowly. I think someone wants me gone. Elder Juro arrived, eyes wide with shock. He looked at the blackened box, then at Milo, then at the spinning windmill still standing, still alive. That evening, Juro stood before the village. This was no accident, he said. Someone tried to kill the boy who saved our lives. Someone who fears change. No one spoke. Vor stood in the shadows, shaking. Milo stepped forward, holding up a broken wire and a melted trigger. I don't want revenge, he said. I just want to keep helping. He looked at the crowd. But I can't do it alone anymore. Silence. Then a voice spoke up. Tava, we won't let you stand alone. And one by one, the villagers stepped forward. Even those who once feared him, even those who once doubted him. Because now, they knew Milo's power didn't come from junk. It came from hope. And that was the real spark. Sabotage * rain fell over the village of Jurak for the first time in months. But it wasn't normal rain. It was warm, thick, and full of dust falling in slow gray drops from a broken sky. The villagers stood in silence as it hit the ground, forming little puddles of mud and ash. No one cheered. No one danced. They had power now. They had clean water and light. But someone had tried to destroy it all. And that made the air feel heavy. Inside the healer's tent, Milo sat on a cot with bandages around his arms. His burns weren't serious, but his hands still shook when he tried to hold tools. He hated it. I should be out there, he whispered. Tava sat beside him, quiet. She had been with him every day since the explosion. She brought food, cleaned his cuts, and sat with him through the nights when he couldn't sleep. You need rest, she said gently. Even machines need time to cool down. Milo looked at her with tired eyes. I'm not a machine. No, she said. But you fix us like one. He gave a weak smile, but inside, he felt something different. Fear. For the first time, he was afraid of what might come next. Outside, Elder Juro gathered the villagers. We know the blast wasn't an accident, he said. It was sabotage. The crowd murmured. Angry voices rose. Someone shouted, it could have killed the boy. Juro raised his hand. This is not a time for rage. This is a time for truth. Someone among us broke the trust. In the back of the crowd, Vor's jaw tightened. His heart pounded. He had made a mistake. He thought the explosion would scare Milo away, or break the windmill, or at least stop the village from worshiping the human boy like a hero. But nothing had changed except now. People looked at each other with suspicion. And Milo? Milo had lived. Vor turned and walked away, heart full of confusion. He didn't want to be a killer. He just wanted to be seen again. By the fourth day, Milo was back on his feet. He stood under the windmill, staring at the burnt wires and half-melted control panel. Tava handed him new tools, but he didn't move. He was thinking, not just about repairs, but about something bigger. This can't happen again, he said softly. If someone wants to destroy what we're building, we have to build smarter. What do you mean? She asked. We don't just repair, he said. We protect. He pulled out a folded map from his jacket. It showed a design lines, towers, and something strange at the center. What's this? Tava asked. He tapped the middle. A grid. If we build it right, the system can fix itself. If something breaks, the others can cover it, like friends, holding hands. Tava stared at the paper. You really think trash can do that? Milo smiled. Trash is just forgotten treasure. Work began again. This time, it wasn't just Milo. Children, teens, adults, even quiet old warriors joined the Fixers Club. Under Milo's guidance, they built new towers, dug trenches for cable lines, and placed protective shells over weak spots. Milo taught them how to spot bad wires, how to fuse old circuits, and how to make tools from melted scrap. Vor watched from the distance. Every day, he saw the human boy laugh, teach, and lead. And slowly, guilt became something worse, loneliness. He had done the worst thing of all, and no one even knew it was him. One night, Vor walked into the forbidden pit. No one followed. He went to the place where they had first gathered scrap, where Milo had found the solar dish. He sat on a rock and stared at the stars, or where stars used to be. Now, the sky flickered. The sun was dying. The world was ending, and he had tried to stop the one person who might save them. He picked up a sharp metal rod and stared at it. Then he dropped it. He couldn't do this anymore. Milo's grid was finished by the 7th day. A network of connected power stations ran through the village. The windmill fed energy into the grid, and the light cubes passed it along like a heartbeat. The first night it activated, every home lit up with steady, soft light. People cried again, but this time, not from fear. Juro placed both hands on Milo's shoulders. "You've given us a future." Milo shook his head. "We built it together." But inside, he still felt uneasy. Who had tried to destroy it? And would they try again? That question was answered sooner than expected. The next morning, Vor stood before the whole village. His hands were open, his eyes full of shame. "I did it," he said. The crowd went silent. "I broke the control box. I placed the heat cell. I wanted to stop him." He looked at Milo. "You were changing everything, and I was afraid." Tava stepped forward, angry. "You could have killed him." "I know," Vor whispered. "I was wrong." Milo stood still. Then he walked over, slowly, and held out his hand. Everyone stared. "What you did was wrong," Milo said. "But now you have a choice." "Choice?" Vor asked. "You can leave," Milo said. "Or you can help fix what you almost broke." Vor looked at the crowd, at the windmill, at the glowing lights. Then he took the human boy's hand, and the village exhaled together relief, forgiveness, and something new. Because even broken trust could be rebuilt, just like everything else Milo touched. The impossible machine. Milo stood on top of the highest rock in the village, staring at the sky. It was darker than before. The sun no longer rose fully. Its light blinked like a dying lamp, cold and pale. The sky had cracks in it, thin clouds that never moved, light that never warmed. Tava climbed up beside him. "The windmill still works," she said. "I know," Milo whispered. "But it won't be enough. We have the grid. We have water, food, tools. What more do we need?" He turned to her. "We need time." Tava didn't speak. She looked up at the dying sky. Milo reached into his coat and pulled out a crumpled sketch. It was messy lines and circles, strange symbols, arrows pointing to a giant dish and a tall tower. "This is the only way," he said. She looked at it closely. "What is it?" "A skycatcher," he said. "It'll trap what little energy the sun still gives off. Even the flickers, it'll store it, send it through the grid, and give us years of power." She looked worried. "Has anyone ever built one before?" "No," Milo said. Folding the sketch, "That's why it's called impossible." Elder Juro stood before the villagers that evening. Milo stood beside him, quiet and calm. "He wants to build something never seen before," Juro said. "A machine to catch dying light." The villagers listened. "He says it will save us, but it will need everything we have left: metal, wire, effort, time." Silence. Then a voice rose. "He hasn't failed us yet." Another voice. "If he says it can be done, I believe him." And another. "We follow the boy who hears machines." A cheer spread through the crowd. Not wild, not loud, but solid. True, they were ready. Work began the next morning. The village turned into a moving engine. Everyone had a job. The young ones gathered tools. The elders sorted parts. The strong helped dig the base for the skycatcher's tower. Milo directed it all like a conductor, never shouting, never rushing. He explained things with drawings and simple words. He let everyone feel like a part of it, even Vor. He worked harder than anyone else, hauling panels, melting scrap, building frames. He didn't speak much, but he never stopped moving. And Milo let him, because sometimes building something good means letting others fix themselves too. The first tower stood by the 4th day. It wasn't pretty. Bent metal, crooked supports. But it was tall. By day 7, there were 3 more towers. Each one held thin reflective panels like giant petals. When the sun blinked, even for a second, the panels caught it, bounced it down into thick copper coils, and stored the energy in a hidden battery core. It worked barely, but barely was enough. A test light flickered on. Then a heater buzzed to life. Then the water system hummed louder than ever. It was working. The impossible machine was no longer impossible. That night, the village threw a feast. It was small, just warm roots, cooked meat, and fresh water, but it was full of laughter. Children danced around the tower bases. Elders told stories they had not told in years. Tava played an old tune on a pipe Milo had fixed. Even Milo smiled. For once, he didn't feel like a visitor or a strange boy who talked to trash. He felt like part of something bigger, a family. Juro raised a glass of clean water and spoke. This boy fell from the sky, and now he's given the sky back to us. They cheered, and for a little while, they forgot the sun was dying. But Milo didn't sleep that night. He stood under the tallest tower, tools in hand, adjusting the dish to better track the light. Every movement mattered. One mistake, and it could waste a whole day's charge. Tava found him there. You should rest, she said. I will, he replied. Soon, she sat beside him. You think the sun will really die? He nodded. Maybe. Not today, maybe not next week. But soon. She looked down, and when it does, he looked up. Then this village will still have light, heat, power, hope. She stared at him for a long moment. You're not really a kid, are you? Milo laughed softly. No, I'm just a kid who builds things. By the 10th day, the Skycatcher grid was complete. It pulsed with power. The windmill fed it. The light panels stored it. The machines cleaned water and heated homes. The radio caught strange signals, one of them human. Milo's eyes widened. When he heard it, Earth ship Echo 9, receiving faint distress beacon, human signature. Coordinates suggest planet near collapse. Investigating. Tava leaned over. That's your people. Milo didn't answer. He stared at the blinking radio light, then out at the towers, then at the villagers smiling, eating, working, and he knew he had a choice to make. One last decision. The goodbye that stayed. The sky was breaking, not with fire or sound but with silence. Above the village of Jurak, the sun flickered one last time, then it faded into a gray blur, leaving only cold light behind. The villagers looked up, breathless. No warmth touched their skin. The world had gone dim, but the lights in the village stayed on. Heaters buzzed softly. Water pumps hummed. And the Skycatcher towers stood tall, spinning and glowing with life. Because of one boy, because of Milo, the signal came at dawn. A message, clear and human, cut through the static of the old radio Milo had repaired. Echo 9 to surface beacon. We've locked onto your signal. Human. Life form detected. Rescue landing in 2 days. Stay put. The villagers gathered around Milo as he listened. Their faces were a mix of joy and sadness. Tava stood close, her hands clenched at her sides. You're going home, she whispered. Milo didn't reply. He just looked at the radio. Then at the towers. Then at the people. The next day, Milo walked through the village alone. He touched the edge of the old water well he had restored. He checked the wires under the food heaters, tightened a bolt, adjusted a coil. He passed by the windmill, his first gift to this world. It still spun strong in the weak wind. And everywhere he walked, villagers followed him with their eyes. Some waved, some said thank you, a few just stood still, hoping he'd stop to say goodbye. He did in single quotes not yet. He had one more thing to do. In the middle of the village, Milo placed a small metal box beside the elder's seat. Wires connected it to the power grid. A button sat in the center. This will check every tower, every cable, every coil, he told Juro. Once a week, press it. If something's failing, it'll blink red. Juro looked down at the box like it was sacred. You built all this for us, he said. No, Milo replied. We built it. Tava stood nearby. You're really leaving? My ship is coming, he said softly. They'll take me home. Is that what you want? Milo didn't answer. The night before the ship arrived, the villagers gathered again, not for a feast, but for a farewell. They placed soft lights round the village square. Children built little towers out of scrap, copying Milo's designs. One of them wore goggles made from old lenses. I'm the new fixer now, he shouted proudly. Tava played the pipe again, but her music was slow, soft, and sad. Milo sat beside her, holding a simple bag of tools. He hadn't packed much, just what he needed. At the end of the music, Elder Juro stood and spoke. You came to us from fire and sky. We thought you were a child, but you taught us to build, to believe, and now you return to your own." The villagers clapped quietly, but Milo only looked at the ground. That night, he couldn't sleep. He walked to the tower hill one last time. The sky above was full of gray light, cold and endless. The towers buzzed quietly in the wind. Tava followed him. "Say something," she said. He looked at her. "I don't know what to say. Do you want to leave?" He hesitated. "No," he said. "Then don't. They're coming for me, my people." Tava stepped closer. "You crashed, but you chose to stay. You chose to help. You made us your people." He didn't speak. She took his hand. "So choose again." The rescue ship came just before dawn. It descended slowly, lights flashing in the misty gray sky. Its engines roared, sending dust flying. The villagers stepped back, watching with wide eyes. A door opened. A ramp lowered. A man in a silver suit stepped out, scanning the ground. His eyes landed on Milo. "You the boy from Echo 9's signal?" he asked. Milo nodded. "Let's get you home." Milo looked back at the village. At the windmill, the towers, the lights still glowing. At the faces: Tava, Juro, Vor, the children, his people, his home. He turned back to the man and said, "I'm already home." The man frowned. "What? I'm staying," Milo said. "You can't be serious. This planet's dying." Milo smiled. "And yet this village is alive." The man looked around, confused. "This isn't protocol." Neither was falling. "From the sky," Milo replied. He stepped away from the ramp and didn't look back. The man stood still for a moment, then sighed. "Your call, kid. You've got a signal tower now. If you ever change your mind." Milo nodded. "I'll let you know." The ship rose, turned, and disappeared into the clouds. Later, the villagers gathered around Milo. "You could have gone," Juro said. "Why did you stay?" Milo looked at Tava, then at the children waving tool belts in the air. "Because I built something here," he said. "Because you are something here," Tava added. And together, they walked back into the village of Jurak. The sun was gone, but the lights stayed on, and the boy who had once fallen from the sky now walked with his feet firmly on the ground.